Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Retail Archaeology. What we're looking at here in this nondescript strip mall building is a time portal. And when you step into this portal, you are magically transported to the year 1985. Welcome to Captain Cutaneum's Arcade 85. Now, the portal to this arcade doesn't open very often, but I was lucky enough to catch it when it was open from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. on March 25th, 2017. All of the games featured in this arcade were released in 1985 or earlier, like this Nintendo Versus system with Excitebike installed. I have not actually seen a Nintendo Versus system with Excitebike, so this was cool to see. And there was a Sinistar machine, which I remember hearing these scream from across arcades when I was a kid. These were still in arcades when I was a little kid, and I just wasn't a huge fan because I was a little kid and it scared the hell out of me, to be honest.
Ready for some action shots?
Of course, any self-respecting arcade in the 80s is going to have a Tron machine. Here's my buddy John Bon Jonesy kicking ass at Tron. The really amazing thing about this place is you really do get the sense that you stepped into a time portal. That's why I haven't added any music to the video, because I want you to hear just the ambiance and how much like 1985 it sounds in here. There was even a section for cocktail cabinets. This was really cool. Here's my buddy Mark, who you might recognize from the Retro Sports Game Network, playing a Popeye cocktail cabinet, which I've never seen before. There was also a Galaxian cocktail cabinet, and then a Tempest cocktail cabinet, which I have never seen. This thing was beautiful. I love vector games, and Tempest is one of my favorites. And here's Track and Field from Konami, which this is a game that I like to watch people play, but I'm not actually a huge fan of playing myself.
Welcome to the wonderful world of carpal tunnel.
It always amazed me the abuse that buttons on the Track and Field cabinet were able to withstand, because I have seen people really pound on these things. And then right next to Track and Field was a upright Tempest cabinet. And this is a game that you just can't emulate properly through MAME. It doesn't play the same without the little spinny dial controller that the arcade cabinet has. There is just a huge treasure trove of 1985 and early arcade games here. I love this place. And there's a Gunsmoke and Karate Champ arcade cabinets, and a Spy Hunter cabinet, one of two that they had here. And of course you gotta have Centipede there. And then there was Star Trek. This is probably my favorite vector-based graphics game, and I love the sit-down version of this. It is amazing sitting in the chair with the buttons at each hand. You really do feel like you're controlling the Enterprise, and I could play this game for hours. This is a game that I don't see very often, so when I see one, especially a sit-down one, I make it a point to play it and put a lot of quarters into it.
Oh shit. Alright, to die.
This is another arcade game that you can emulate it through MAME, but you are not going to get the true experience without sitting in it and playing it in an original arcade cabinet. And then we've got a Paperboy cabinet. And I'm a big fan of these Atari arcade games from the early 80s that had specialized controls. Like Paperboy had the bike handlebar controls, there was Vindicators that had like the tank type controls, there was 720 with that joystick that kind of spun around. Atari was doing really innovative things in arcade games, so it was really cool to see a Paperboy arcade cabinet. Haven't seen one in a long time. And there was a gauntlet cabinet, which was beautiful. This is a really cool cabinet to see, and I haven't seen one of these in a very long time either. It also had giant ashtrays bolted to the side of it, which was kind of hilarious to see. I've never seen those before in arcade games, but back in the early 80s, a lot of arcades still allowed smoking in them. There was also this really cute little Missile Command Cabaret cabinet. Now, I've played an Asteroids Cabaret cabinet like this before, but I've never seen a Missile Command one, and this was just the perfect size for my daughter to play. Or at least attempt to play. And here's a game called Kickman by Midway, and this is another one I had never heard of or seen before, but was really fun to play, and the arcade cabinet was really cool too. And it had some cool specialized controls. You used a trackball to control it, but it only spun on one axis. Kind of interesting. And here's a third Tempest cabinet in beautiful condition, right next to the Gauntlet machine, which was also in beautiful condition, and Kickman, which looked fantastic. It's a trio of really great looking games right there. Now you may see pole position a lot, but how often do you see a sit down one? The neighborhood arcade was an important piece of Americana that's all but disappeared, which I feel like is kind of sad. So it was really nice to step into this place and kind of relive the glory days of the neighborhood arcade, especially, you know, in the year 1985, which is when arcades were really going strong. And it really felt like you were hanging out in a time portal to 1985, and here between the video games, the music that was playing on the turntables, the Debbie Harry and Madonna posters, just 1985 all around. You just don't find neighborhood arcades like this anymore, and arcades in malls like this anymore, and this place really just brought the 1985 aesthetic. It was just simply amazing to hang out in here. And here's a Jungle Hunt from Taito cabinet, and this is a game I'm familiar with, but I've never actually seen before, so this was cool to play it on an actual cabinet instead of just through a MAME emulator. And here's Head On by Gremlin, which is an arcade game company that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, but I have played this on the Atari, I believe, but again, another arcade cabinet that I've never seen before, and a really cool looking one. And here's the other Spy Hunter cabinet that they had. And I love the really cool steering wheel on this, and I've also always had a thing for arcade games that have blinking lights and things outside of the screen to interact with. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've always liked Spy Hunter, because of the things that light up on the cabinet. And also the cool steering wheel and the cool theme music and the fact that you're driving a car with the machine gun. Everything about that is great. Robotron 2084, another great one. As well as Make Tracks. I love both of these games. It was also cool to see how many young people there were in here enjoying these old school arcade games. Like I said, nothing in here was released after 1985, and I saw a lot of people, late teens, early 20s that just weren't alive when these games were new. So that made me happy to see a younger generation enjoying these classic games. Now here's another really cool older game. This game is called Le Mans, and it had a steering wheel, and once the camera kind of focuses here on the screen, you can see it's like a really rudimentary early version of Super Sprint. I was very excited to find this place, and I will definitely be keeping an eye out for signs of the time portal opening again so I can happily go back to 1985 and play some of these amazing arcade games. If you want to check this place out for yourself, look up Captain Cutaneum's Arcade 85 and keep an eye out for an announcement when the time portal will be opening again, because it is worth it. And if you don't live near this time portal, keep your ears and eyes open out near your area. You never know where little time portal arcades like this might exist in nondescript buildings and strip malls or in people's garages. Definitely keep your eyes and ears open, because I'm sure you'll find something in your area just like I found here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this time portal was unfortunately only open for a few hours, so I wasn't allowed to spend nearly as much time as I wanted to with these really awesome arcade games. It was definitely a bummer to step through that door and leave 1985 back to present day. Hey, thanks for checking out my video here on a time portal to a 1985 arcade. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure to follow us at the social media links there. And if you've got some extra time, here's some other episodes of Archaeology you can check out. And as always, thanks for watching.